So yeah, it's a tough spot to be the first one after lunch. So bear with me. I haven't consumed enough calories. So if I come across a little grumpy, then maybe that's the reason. So that's me. I'm Maya. Some of you know me, but for those of you who don't know me, I am the Director of Research and Insights of Commetric, and I'm also a member of the AMEC board. Interestingly, today, to the date, is my work anniversary. Exactly 16 years ago, I became a commetrician. I joined as an analyst, and I like to think of myself as an analyst and researcher more than anything else, despite what my current role may say. And I like really to keep that part of my job, to stay close to the actual research, to the actual insights work. So even though most of the time I actually consult clients with very complicated research scenarios or for their measurement problems, or work with our technology teams to develop solutions, more than anything, I love to think of myself as an analyst. And 16 years is a long time to stay with one company, especially in a dynamic industry like ours. But it has been on purpose and with purpose. And there has been a lot of lessons learned along the way. So I'm going to be talking about some of those lessons today. How many of you were in Vienna in June? Hands up. Oh, I'm glad. Quite a few. So, for those of you who are in Vienna, this slide might look familiar. For those of you who are not there, number one, on-demand access to the event might still be available, but make sure that you add Dublin in May 2026 to your calendars, because the AMEC Summit is something that is really worth attending for all kinds of comms, measurement, research, insights, and AI learnings and networking. So, going to this slide, visual reminder of Vienna for those of you who were there. So a question of those who were there. So did you see my fairy tales and horror stories session? May I have some hands up so that I can, okay, amazing. That's good that it was the bottle, not the glass. Because otherwise Johnny Bentwood's laptop and the whole future of Golin would have been gone. So, do you remember this slide? Anyone? Do you remember it? This was the climax of my horror story. So that was the control room in panic mode. The situation when you realize that all of the data that you have, all of the insights that you have, all of the metrics that you have are not fit for purpose. And you have to scrap everything and start over again. And that's a very dark place to be in. It's very challenging. It's awful. I've been into those places a fair few times. But more often in my role, I am actually working with clients who are in this panic mode when they really need to get their measurement and research right. So I have the privilege to observe from the outside and help them find a way out and fast. Which means, first and foremost, to analyze what drove them in this situation, what put them in this state of panic when they don't know what they're doing with their data, insights, measurement, and analytics. Getting into a panic mode and realizing you can't really measure and evaluate what you've done sometimes is a direct consequence of failure to plan. And sometimes this can include, of course, not defining your objectives or defining them poorly based on arbitrary targets or wishful thinking or guesstimations. If either poor planning or poor objective setting has drove you to a panic mode, you're in the safe place. Because AMEC is where you can actually get a lot of the resources to not get into the situation. But more often I see an issue of not understanding the data, the metrics, how they are derived, what they mean, when they can be used, and why. And not understanding the data and its limitations easily translates into doing wrong conclusions, potentially acting wrong and not aligned. And ultimately, it might lead you to lose trust in data, especially AI data, which obviously can get to a more problematic situation where you are challenged on the quality of data, or you challenge your providers on the quality of their data. And not spotting data quality issues can be a rough challenge. It can be a rough scenario in itself. So I said data quality. It's an important phrase in AMEC right now. AMEC is also supports the Global Data Quality Initiative. Any one of you, have you seen the Data Quality Initiative? Have you read the pledge? Make sure you do. That's on the AMEC website, and it's really something that you should take a look at very carefully. The initiative emphasizes the importance of leveraging responsible AI and underscores the challenge of uncovering truth and precision in unstructured data, which is what we all in this space really do. I don't want to be overly academic here, but there is one simple message. There is, with all of our data vendors, with our analytics processes internally, we need to follow the core principles of data quality, including transparent methodologies, something that was mentioned already at least 3 times during the previous sessions, that apply AI responsibly and transform the structured data into explainable underlined insights. So back to the room in panic mode. So there are many reasons to end up in such a place. It's unfortunate, but it is also a learning opportunity, because when you are in this place, this is where you can really learn, you can reflect, and you can grow. So, some of the lessons learned along the way of observing clients in this situation and also of being myself in this situation, my lessons on how to get on track and how to stay on track with AI implementation. But let's start with the positives first, with the good news. So there are elements of PR measurement that AI nowadays, including LLM-based solutions, handle better than we had ever before. Things like nuanced and granular entity-level sentiment. Sentiment is very rarely nowadays what it used to be a few years ago, like silly libraries of good words and bad words. You can really go deep, and this is something very important, because any measurement framework, any success metric that includes sentiment, you need to be able to answer simple questions: sentiment of what, against what. Key message or quote put through, one of the key challenges for communicators to make sure that their messaging, their statement is being conveyed in the way they want it to be conveyed. This is something that is now, with LLMs, with new developments, done faster, more efficient, and even more accurate than ever before. And topic segmentation. We no longer need to rely on this rigid taxonomies that used to be the basis of most of the tools. We can be actually very, very narrow in the way we define the topics that we care about, that we need. Or stakeholder identification. All of the KOLs that you might really want to understand, this is now done, this type of analysis is now done better than ever before, and faster. And then narrative drifts, things that we need to care about so that we can react, we can course correct, are again something that now current technologies help us do much better, much faster. Which leads us to a scenario that I think I counted. I think it was 4 times that the phrase silver bullet was mentioned before the lunch break. And I think our industry definitely has a growing fascination, not just our industry, like very broadly, not just communications even. We just have a fascination with instant AI answers, with the just ask the LLM type of mindset. And that's of course appealing, especially in our space. This is tempting. Teams definitely want to skip that messy part of defining goals, of data preparation and cleaning, of robust methods and of human oversight. We really just want to be able to ask the AI to do it for you. So the temptation is real. And everyone wants an easy fix. But from everything I've seen on the market, there is no such thing as a one-click or one-prompt insight. It's much more than that, and it should be much more than that. And some of the solutions that are out there can be very, very impressive and can be a great part of a stack. But these quick fixes, they kind of create this illusion of insight. And that's really important that we also work with our clients to equip them with the knowledge to distinguish what is a really nice directional insight and what is measurement-ready data. So before we let the 8-ball decide our strategy or our client's strategy, let's remember that reliable AI isn't magical, it's methodical. And that's why we have to make sure that we understand some gaps. Every easy fix hides a few tricky gaps. And every time we find a great use case, we also find a wall. And the places where LLMs simply can't deliver what we need, and we should be mindful of that. Dealing with ambiguity is definitely challenging. And how many of you have ever worked with a client who can't really explain what's their problem that they try to solve? A few hands, a few nods because you don't want to raise your hand and be seen. Okay, I understand that. LLMs struggle when the question itself is open-ended or multi-layered. Say, how are stakeholders really feeling about that merger? An LLM, an AI-ready tool might be giving you a confident answer, but it's not necessarily correct or grounded or truthful. And today, we are at the AMEC stage, so we are talking about AI mostly in the context of communications and measurement and evaluation. So it's not about simple efficiency gains, which all of us are seeing. It's ensuring transparency and replicability. They're not negotiable. If you can't reproduce the AI results that you have today, if you can't reproduce them tomorrow, this is not measurement. And also, what exactly do we analyze? Whatever we can easily get access to, or whatever is actually important. And let's just be clear, no, not all content can be analyzed with LLMs. Some key publishers explicitly prohibit this, and we should all be mindful, especially if we are working in the earned analytics, in earned media space. So this is where things like data access, grounding, and governance really matter and come in. And without them, we can't close that gaps. And no size of model can actually close them for us. So the gap isn't a failure of technology. It's a reminder that AI without data discipline and without human oversight just can't deliver trust. So how do we close these gaps? We can start by actually controlling what we can control, which is the quality of the data. Because no amount of AI magic can compensate for poor input. So trustworthy AI isn't built on clever prompts only, or larger models only. It's built on clean and contextual and methodically enriched data. And what I loved about the sessions before the lunch break is that at least 3 were talking about context, transparency, and robustness. So, how to make sure that our data is high quality and relevant? Well, from my experience, the main lesson I've learned is we focus on narrower, well-defined applications. The places where we know our data is strong and the task is very clear. By narrow, I don't mean small, I mean specific. So how many of you have recognized this keychain? Anyone? That's a tough one, okay. So it is actually on the cover of probably my favorite pop science book. It's called Range, Why Generalists Triumph in a Specialized World by David Epstein. I strongly recommend this read. So Epstein argues that in an unpredictable world, people who cultivate broad knowledge and diverse experiences rather than specialize early, are often better at creative problem solving and adapting to new challenges. And according to him, generalists tend to thrive in environments that demand critical thinking, innovation, and the ability to connect ideas across domains. And I completely agree for us humans. But my experience with AI has been the exact opposite. The more general the model, the less practically useful it becomes. So general AI applications can access more data, but they can't give the precision that clients actually need. So think about something I already mentioned, topic segmentation, right? In most tools, you get pre-built AI topics. And no one from your customer success team can actually explain those topics to you. They're easy to scale, but rarely match the client's reality. And that's why many communicators are frustrated with those off-the-shelf solutions, and they need more granular, more auditable, and tailored topics so that they can trust the data and make use of it. So while humans thrive on range, AI succeeds through focus. Narrow, well-defined applications built on clear data and very specific goals. And I can speak a little bit on what, for instance, my team is doing. So a narrow use application is one that's built for a very particular question or workflow. So instead of, let's say, asking a question like, or searching for an AI tool that measures everything about reputation, think of something that is very specific and narrow, things like an AI that detects one kind of signal, say how a quote travels or how a narrative polarizes. And narrow use keeps the models anchored because it's working with a clearly defined input, clear success criteria, and domain-specific data. It's where you can control quality, measure accuracy, and iterate over and over again. And that's where both analysts and clients start trusting the output. For example, one of the internal tools focuses only on quote analysis. So it verifies quote accuracy, tracks how executive statements are picked up or reframed, and spots gaps in coverage. Another focuses on polarization detection, mapping narrative frames, identifying bias patterns, and tracking sentiment drifts, especially on controversial topics and crisis situations. Each of those tools answers a narrow questions extremely well. And together, they cover areas that used to require hours of analyst work. And the opposite, trying to build a general purpose comms AI looks impressive in a demo, but fails under the weight of its own ambiguity. So staying on track with AI isn't about scaling fast, to Yulina's point from just before lunch break. It's about scaling right. And once a narrow use model proves reliable, you can then replicate across multiple use cases. And that's how real adoption happens, not through one big model, not through one magic tool, but through many small and well-governed ones. Another narrow use application that I find really appealing is one that focuses on mis and disinformation. And let me just explain this. Oh my God, this is getting close to red. No, stop it. Right. So what is fact-checking really? Is it a noble intellectual pursuit, like this general search for truth? Or is it more pragmatically a discipline for verifying whether information is presented the way we want it to be presented? And in practice, it's both. Fact-checking kind of sits in the intersection of truth and framing, which is exactly where PR and comms lives as well. And both fields, fact-checking and comms measurement and research, deal with narratives, with claims, and with context. And both rely on evidence. So when we study mis and disinformation, we're tracing how facts get distorted. And when we measure PR effectiveness, we're also asking how our messages evolve as they travel through media ecosystems or through social conversations. And the difference might be motivation, but ultimately the methodology, the data challenges, and the analytical discipline are strikingly similar. I'm just going to go here, which leads us to a couple of final points. Why precision and recall matter now more than ever before in the age of LLMs. So just to kind of, for potentially for those who are not very familiar with the terms precision and recall, precision means not overclaiming. Every signal you surface should be correct and defensible, while recall means not missing signals that matter. And together, they describe the balance between confidence and completeness. And that balance is what makes analytics trustworthy. So it is a balance, for sure. In our approach, this is what, apologies, that wasn't, I should have had a better lunch. So what we, for instance, are doing, we have built a system called SierraPlex. And I love the fact that several speakers mentioned already traditional machine learning systems and natural language processing and the power of them combined with LLMs. We are tempted to talk about LLMs and talk about generative AI as the silver bullet, but in reality, what is very critical and very important is to find a backbone that can be predictable, that can be, oh, thank you, Thomas, you're lovely.
Pleasure.
You're a gentleman. So, why this matters? This system that we have built is company-centric. It's designed to analyze business events, and at its core is something that stands for Sierra Finite State Transducer. So that's very technical, but a finite state transducer works like a linguistic conveyor belt, and basically takes unstructured text on one side, on one end, in using a clear set of rules, transform it into structured meaning on the other. And the importance is that this is the foundation of many classic NLP systems, things that have been around for decades, and we've been able to improve them over time. The important aspect is that it is predictable and interpretable, which means that in a multi-agent framework, it can be the backbone that is required. What this means in practice, you can not just go through actual very key main topics and events, but you can actually go very granular to very specific subdrivers that are giving you actual meaning and direction. The subdrivers can be not just granular and nuanced, but I can provide the type of context that is required to understand real shifts and real signals. And where am I going here? Okay, this is very red, so I have to skip a little bit. So building a lot of granularity into a system that is very predictable and very auditable allows you to be very specific around use cases, around the actual needs of your stakeholders. So you don't necessarily have to do measurement for one company. You can do measurement for different functions and roles within a company because it's different things that matter to them. Which leads me to the really final element of my session today. Oh my God, you're giving me the bad eye, Jonah. Please don't. So Agentic, another thing I counted. I think it was 7 sessions that mentioned Agentic. I wanted to be very short and concise with what an agentic workflow in our space can look like. And it really is 3 main phases, which we can translate to extract context, brief, fine-tune, give the job specs, process, analyze, and then generate insights. And this was about to be the last slide of my presentation, but something happened a few weeks ago. First, it was a Comet. If you don't, how many of you have used Perplexity's Comet browser? And then Atlas, the Titan who can carry the weight of the heavens for eternity, which is the OpenAI browser. You have a Mac, so have you used the Atlas browser already? It's only available for Mac for Mac OS yet, but it should be launching soon with different operating systems. So what is really interesting is that both of those browsers have agentic capabilities built in them. This means that we, but also our clients, can build in multi-step agentic processes, which can make most of what we do completely replaceable. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just something that we need to be very mindful of. How many of you have seen the opening act videos in the app? Good. Do so, because they're very, very, very worthy content. Several amazing speakers that I've followed for years, but also my boss, the founder and executive chair of Commetric, Christopher Zoheim, he uses the exact same image there when he's making his analysis of the industry and where we're heading. So on purpose, I wanted to use this image as well, because it's about when you go duck hunting, you don't shoot at the duck, you shoot ahead of the duck. I have never in my life shot a real gun at a real duck, but I'm from a generation that fondly remembers Nintendo's Duck Hunt. Who has played Nintendo's Duck Hunt? I was really good at it. So I know that you have to shoot ahead of the duck, which in our case means anticipating changes and drifts in technology, in demand, and in use cases. What? It's nano banana.
It's not the same.
But it's not the same.
you gear the sight.
I guess.
You don't.
You tell me about your duck hunting experiences. We need to understand the shifts in technology to predict how the market will develop, how our clients will change, how much more independent they will become, and how less dependent they might be on us, and how can we help them? How can we help our own organizations in this current reality? So my main message, my final message is just stay curious and be bold. And if you shoot, don't shoot in the dark, because that's how you can get on track and stay on track.